It's David Wowee. How you doing? Robin and Boothill are coming to Honkai Star Rail, but are they any good? Should you save up your Stellar Jades for them? This video will help you decide. Don't forget to like and subscribe to give us a tiny chance against the big players out there, or become a super member to get some perks while supporting this humble little channel. Also, an obvious disclaimer, this information may change upon the release of Robin and Boothill, but the general gist of it should hopefully remain the same. As a note, when I talk about percentages, I'm typically talking about percentage values when they're level 10, and because Robin and Boothill haven't officially arrived, these percentages may change. In fact, they've changed recently, so the figures I mentioned may be different to the figures you may have seen before. Now let's look at our superstar Robin. According to HoYoverse, Robin is a Holovian singer born in Penacony and rose to cosmic fame, an elegant and demure young lady. This time, she has been invited home by the family to grace everyone with a song at the Charmony Festival. She can use the power of harmony to broadcast her music, manifesting resonance among not only her fans, but all manner of life forms. Robin belongs in the path of harmony and has a physical combat type. As a singing support character, her skill set is primarily designed to increase the enemy's weakness while also making her allies' attacks stronger. Imagine getting into a street fight where your buddy just sings to make your punches stronger and your enemies weaker. I mean, what song would they have to sing for that to happen? Would Taylor Swift make you stronger? Anyway, let's look at Robin's skills. First, we have her basic attack, so far called Wing Flip White Noise, where she can deal physical damage of at least 100% of her attack, which is actually not bad for a support character. Next is her skill, Pinyin Zarya, which increases her allies' damage by at least 50%, lasting for 3 turns. Then we have her passive ability, her talent, which increases all her allies' crit damage by 27.5%. After your allies attack enemies, Robin additionally regenerates 2 energy for herself, and that 2 energy is super useful because the sooner you get her to do her ultimate, the better, which also means she works perfectly with characters who do follow-up attacks like Dr. Ratio and Clara, as that will give her more energy. Because Robin's ultimate is where it gets interesting. When you use her ultimate, she enters the Concerto state, which does a bunch of stuff. When in the Concerto state, all allies' attacks increase by 22.8% of Robin's attack plus 200. Then, all allies will immediately take action, putting them right at the front of the line there with ya. So the more frequently you can get Robin to do her ultimate, the more frequently all your allies will have a turn, essentially making it very difficult for enemies to butt in. After your allies take turns on the enemy, Robin will then show off a little bit and deal damage equal to 120% of her attack. What's even better is during Concerto state, Robin is immune to crowd control debuffs but cannot take a turn or action before the Concerto state ends. How do you know when Concerto state ends? Well, apparently a Concerto countdown will appear on the action order bar. When the countdown's turn begins, Robin exits the Concerto state and can immediately take action. The countdown has its own fixed speed of 90. So in plain English, when Robin uses her ultimate, she gets into this thing called Concerto state, which not only makes her allies' attacks much stronger, but also makes them immediately take action so you won't have to wait for their turns. She'll then follow their attacks up with her own attack, which is decent in size, especially for a support character. During this state, she'll also be immune to those annoying crowd control debuffs like freeze and outrage, but she can't take action during this state, and there is actually a countdown that will happen before she can take action again. Next, we have Robin's technique, which is that thing you can do before you start the battle. Here she'll create a dimension around her that lasts for 15 seconds. Enemies around her won't attack her, but apparently they'll follow her like any good pop star stalker would. Once in battle, Robin will generate 5 energy each wave, which can be super useful for her ultimate. To improve her kit, we've got Robin's traces. Robin's first trace, Coloratura Cadenza. When the battle begins, Robin's action is advanced forward by 25%, which helps make sure her buffs are set before anything begins. Next we have a second trace, Impromptu Flourish, which is designed for her allies with follow-up attacks. So while in Concerto state, all allies' critical damage dealt when launching follow-up attacks increases by 25%. So with this trace, not only do you get that energy boost, now you get a damage boost when allies do their follow-up attacks. And the third trace is called Sequential Passage. So when using the skill, Robin regenerates an additional 5 energy. So for a support character, Robin is looking promising indeed. Now let's look at the fantastically named Boothill! I used to make fun of this name as the most random name ever until I looked it up. So apparently in the Wild West, a Boothill is a place where people are buried. Now I have so much more respect for our Boothill, and his name makes him seem even more badass. According to HoYoverse, Boothill is a cyborg cowboy drifting among the stars, extremely optimistic and unrestrained. He is a member of the Galaxy Rangers who swore to punish the wretched by any and all means. His flamboyant and brash actions were all to draw the attention of the Interastral Peace Corporation, the target of his revenge. Why revenge, man? Anyway, if you've seen the leaked Boothill footage out there, you'd be quick to notice how cool this dude looks. Boothill belongs to the Path of the Hunt, and like Robin, he will be a physical type attack character. His basic attack, Skull Crash Spurs, deals physical damage and has a chance of dealing weakness break. But there's a twist to his basic attack, which you'll see soon. Now, Boothill's skill, Sizzling Tango, is interesting and reminds me of a good old-fashioned Wild Western duel. With this skill, he targets an enemy and gets into a standoff state. In other words, a duel. This state lasts for 2 turns. During the standoff state, Boothill's basic attack, which I just mentioned, becomes an enhanced basic attack. This enhanced attack deals about double the damage of his basic attack, however, it doesn't recover skill points. While this is happening, the enemy Boothill targets becomes taunted, meaning that enemy will most likely focus its attacks on Boothill. When the enemy or Boothill receives an attack from the other, the damage they receive will increase by 37.5% for the enemy and 15% for Boothill. After this target is defeated or becomes weakness broken, Boothill obtains 1 stack of Pocket Trickshot, remember this, and then he'll dispel standoff. This skill cannot regenerate energy and the turn will not end after using the skill. That was a lot of jargon. What on earth does this mean in plain English, Dave? Use Boothill's skill, Sizzling Tango, to make the damage of his basic attack stronger and to stack these things called Pocket Trickshots, which I'll explain to you very soon. Have patience. But just remember, when you use enhanced basic attacks, you won't stack skill points and the damage done on Boothill will also increase. Now let's look at Boothill's passive ability, his talent. This is when your Pocket Trickshot stacks come in handy. Every stack of Pocket Trickshot increases the enhanced basic attacks toughness, reducing damage by 50%, stacking up to 3 stacks. So in plain English, that means every stack of Pocket Trickshot makes Boothill's enhanced basic attacks even stronger. If the target is weakness broken when the enhanced basic attack is used, for every stack of Pocket Trickshot, the damage increases dramatically. After winning the battle, Boothill can retain a Pocket Trickshot for the next battle. At this point in time, I don't know how many stacks he can retain. Comment if you know how many. Boothill's ultimate called Dust Devil's Sunset Rodeo, which is a perfect title for a movie, is probably the one that will make you say, "Gosh, jolly Dave, I want this cowboy in my team ASAP." Lasting for 2 turns, it makes the enemy weak against physical attacks while dealing a massive amount of damage, over 400% of his attack. Not only that, it delays the target's action by 45%, giving you a huge advantage in the fight. Now let's look at Boothill's technique, which is the thing that he can activate before the battle. When using Boothill's skill for the first time in the next battle, physical weakness is added to the target, equal to that applied by his ultimate. This lasts for 2 turns. In plain English, this means the enemy becomes weaker against his attack type when you use his dual skill in battle. Now let's look at Boothill's traces, which further improve his skills. His first trace, Ghost Load, increases his crit rate and crit damage. Boothill's second talent, Above Snakes, decreases the damage he receives from targets who are not in standoff by 30%, which means any enemy that he's not doing that Sizzling Tango duel thing with will have their damage reduced by 30%. Boothill's third trace, Point Blank, is useful whenever he stacks a Pocket Trickshot. He regenerates 10 energy. This effect is also triggered when obtaining Pocket Trickshot stacks that exceed the maximum. So to summarize both, Robin will be a physical damage support that enhances attacks, reduces enemies' defense, and synergizes well with characters who do follow-up attacks. And as a harmony support, her damage can actually be quite impressive, plus she looks cool. Boothill will be a badass physical damage dealer that can literally force an enemy to become weak against his physical attacks. He also has a skill that locks enemies into him while improving the strength of his own basic attack. Plus he looks cool. And we have the most important question of all, Robin or Boothill, who should you be pulling? My answer is simple. Why not both? If you check my Stellar Jade farming guides, you should hopefully have plenty of Stellar Jades up your sleeves, and I'm sure there will be even more given away during Honkai Star Rail's first anniversary celebrations, as well as a bunch of extra endgame content that has just been announced. But if you think this is a lazy answer, there'll be more content to come once we know Robin and Boothill's final kits. I'll also talk about their Eidolons, so don't worry. Like and subscribe so you don't miss anything important. And if you want to be part of a small, tight-knit community of good people and talk Honkai or other games, check out my Discord or support the cause, gain some perks, and become a super member, baby.